a WikiVidi documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. Capture of Damascus. The capture of Damascus occurred on 1 October 1918 after the capture of Haifa and the victory at the Battle of Samakh, which opened the way for the pursuit north from the Sea of Galilee, and the Third Transjordan attack, which opened the way to Deraa and the inland pursuit. After the decisive Egyptian Expeditionary Force victory at the Battle of Megiddo during the Sinai and Palestine campaign of World War I, Damascus was captured when Desert Mounted Corps and Prince Faisal's Sherifial Hejaz army encircled the city, after a cavalry pursuit northwards along the two main roads to Damascus. During the pursuit to Damascus, many rearguards established by remnants of the Ottoman Fourth, Seventh and Eighth Armies were attacked and captured by Prince Faisal's Sherifial Army, Desert Mounted Corps, Australian Mounted Division the 4th, and the 5th Cavalry Divisions. The important tactical success of capturing Damascus resulted in political manoeuvring by representatives from France, Britain and Prince Faisal's force. Following the victories at the Battle of Sharon and Battle of Nablus during the Battle of Megiddo, on the 25th of September, the combined attacks by the 21st Corps, Desert Mounted Corps, the 20th Corps, supported by extensive aerial bombing attacks, gained all objectives. The Ottoman 7th and 8th Armies in the Judean hills were forced by the attacks at Tulkarm and Tabsa to disengage and retreat, in turn forcing the 4th Army, east of the Jordan River, to avoid outflanking by retreating from Amman when they were attacked by Chaytor's force. As a consequence of these withdrawals, large numbers of prisoners were captured at Jenin, while the surviving columns retreated behind a strong rearguard at Samakh. The commander of the Egyptian Expeditionary Force, General Edmund Allenby, ordered Lieutenant General Harry Chauvel's Desert Mounted Corps to pursue the remnants of the three Ottoman armies and capture Damascus. The 4th Cavalry Division began the pursuit, attacking rearguards along the inland road at Irbid on the 26th of September. At Remta and Prince Faisal's Sherifial Army captured Deraa on the 27th of September. The Australian Mounted Division attacked rearguards along the main road at Jizr-ben-Yaqub on the 27th of September, occupying Quneitra the next day, at Sassan on 29/30th of September, and at Kaukab and the Barada Gorge on the 30th of September. While the 5th Cavalry Division also attacked a rearguard at Kisr the same day. Following these successful attacks and advances, the 3rd Light Horse Brigade was ordered to move north of Damascus, marching through the city on the morning of 1 October to continue their attack on the retreating columns, cutting the road to Homs. Background: with the British Empire forces having gained all objectives during the battles of Sharon and Nablus, breaking the Ottoman front line, and the extensive flank attacks by infantry divisions which continued while the cavalry divisions rode many miles to encircle, they destroyed two Ottoman armies west of the Jordan River, with the 3rd Ottoman Army in full retreat, many of whom were forced to march after the Sherifial Army cut the Hejaz railway. While half its strength was captured by Chaytor's force, the Yildirim Army Group had also lost most of their transport and guns, while the EF advances further strained their administrative and transport services. At Legion on the 22nd of September, Allenby outlined his plans to travel for an advance to Damascus. Before this could be achieved, though, Haifa and important logistics nodes had to be captured. Additionally, the 4th Army still held Amman and the rearguard was still in place at Samakh. Nevertheless, on the 26th of September, the Inspector General lines of communication took control of all the captured territory up to a line stretching from Jizr-ed-Damiyah on the Jordan River to the Nahr el-Falik on the Mediterranean Sea. The same day, detachments from the 20 and 21 Corps had moved north to take over garrison duties in the Esdraelon Plain, at Nazareth and at Samakh, from Desert Mounted Corps, and transport from the 21st Corps was placed at their disposal. Liman von Sanders withdraws. While Liman von Sanders was out of contact until late in the afternoon of the 20th of September, following his hasty retreat from Nazareth in the early hours of the morning, the 4th Army, still without orders, stood firm. Liman continued his journey via Tiberias and Samakh, where he ordered a rearguard late in the afternoon, arriving at Deraa on the morning of the 21st of September, on his way to Damascus. Here he ordered the Irbid to Deraa line established and received a report from the Fourth Army, which he ordered to withdraw without waiting for the southern Hejaz troops to strengthen the new defensive line. Liman von Sanders had found Deraa fairly secure, due to the actions of its commandant, Major Wilmer, whom he placed in temporary command of the new front line from Deraa to Samakh. While at Deraa during the evening of the 21st of September, Liman von Sanders met leaders of several thousand Druzes, who agreed to remain neutral. He arrived at Damascus on the evening of the 23rd of September. His staff having already arrived. Here, he requested the Second Army, which was garrisoning northern Syria, to advance to the defense of Damascus. 2 days later, on the 25th of September, Liman von Sanders ordered his staff back to Aleppo. Yildirim Army Group retreats. Between 6,000 and 7,000 German and Ottoman soldiers remaining from the Ottoman Fourth, Seventh and Eighth Armies had managed to retreat via Tiberias or Deraa towards Damascus, before these places were captured on 25 and the 27th of September, respectively, and were at or north of Musarib. On the 26th of September, Colonel von Oppen, commander of the Asia Corps, reached Deraa with 700 men, including the 205th Pioneer Company. Liman von Sanders ordered von Oppen to withdraw by train. Asia Corps left Deraa at 5:30 on the 27th of September, hours before Sherifial irregulars captured the town. Von Oppen's train was delayed 9 hours by a break in the line 500 yards long 30 miles north of Deraa, to arrive at Damascus the following morning, the 28th of September. Asia Corps was ordered to continue on by train to Ryak, where von Oppen's corps was to strengthen a defensive line. Allenby's plans and preparations. After his initial meeting with Javelet on the 22nd of September regarding the proposed pursuit, Allenby replied on the 25th of September to Wilson regarding pressure for an advance to Aleppo. In his reply, Allenby advocated for an advance by stages, as had previously been undertaken. He added that this approach would be necessary until the War Cabinet is prepared to undertake a combined naval and military operation on a large scale at Alexandretta, and to maintain by sea the military forces employed in it. A conference at Jenin on the 25th of September with GHQ and Desert Mounted Corps staffs was followed the next day by a Corps commanders meeting chaired by Allenby, and orders for the pursuit were issued on the 27th of September. Allenby outlined his planned advance to Damascus to Wilson on the 25th of September. The first stage to the line, Damascus-Beirut, was to begin shortly. While an infantry division marched up the coast from Haifa to Beirut, 3 divisions of Desert Mounted Corps would advance on Damascus. The 4th Division, which had captured Amman, was to remain to capture the retreating 4th Army units from Man. Allenby planned for Chaytor's force to rejoin Desert Mounted Corps at Damascus. The 7th Division did not leave Haifa until the day Damascus was captured, on the 1st of October. The leading troops reached Beirut on the 8th of October, with Major General H. J. McAndrew's 5th Cavalry Division following. Major General H. W. Hodgson's Australian Mounted Division was ordered to advance to Damascus 90 miles away, travelling along the west coast of the Sea of Galilee and round its northern end, across the upper Jordan River to the south of Lake Haleh, through Kenitra and across the Hauran and on to Damascus. Major General G. Du Esparro's 4th Cavalry Division was ordered to ride north from Basin and cross the Jordan River at Jisrel Majami before advancing eastwards via Irbid to Deraa in the hope of capturing retreating remnants of the Ottoman Fourth Army. If they failed to capture the retreating columns, they were to pursue them north along the ancient Pilgrims Road and the Hejaz Railway to Damascus 140 miles away. The 21st Corps 3rd and 7th Divisions moved to garrison Haifa, Nazareth, and Samakh. The 2nd Battalion Leicestershire Regiment, 28th Brigade Division was transported forward to Haifa in lorries with 6 days' supplies to relieve the 5th Cavalry Division on the morning of the 25th of September. The 21st Brigade Division marched up the coast to arrive at Haifa on the 27th of September. The 7th Brigade Division marched north to Jenin and on to Nazareth, where they detached one battalion before continuing on to garrison Samakh on the 28th of September. Sherifial Army capture of Deraa. The limited participation of Prince Faisal's force had been invited on the 21st of September, when an RAF aircraft delivered news of Allenby's successful offensive and the destruction of the Ottoman Seventh and Eighth Armies to its forward base at Azraq. The aircraft also carried instructions from Lieutenant Colonel Alan Dorney, responsible for liaison between the EIF and the Arabs, informing Prince Feisal that they had closed all escape routes, except the Yarmouk Valley, which lay east of the Jordan. The message exhorted the Arabs to attempt to cut off this route, and it was made clear to Prince Feisal that his force was not to embark on any enterprise to the north, such as an advance on Damascus, without first obtaining the consent of the Commander-in-Chief. Allenby wrote to Prince Feisal, as the remnants of the Ottoman Fourth Army retreated northward via Deraa, they were pursued over many waterless miles by Arab forces which joined Faisal's force, with horrific consequences. Three-quarters of Prince Faisal's 4,000-strong force, including Nouri Shalan's camel force, were irregulars. They had made a forced march overnight on 26/27 of September, crossing the railway north of Deraa and tearing up rails to arrive at Sheikh Saad 15 miles north-northwest of Deraa. At dawn on the 27th of September, Auda Abu Tayyi captured a train and 200 prisoners at Ghazal station, while Talal took Hizra a few miles to the north. A total of 2,000 prisoners were captured between noon on the 26th of September and noon on the 27th of September, when Yanazar, an Arab tribal confederation, attacked the rearguard defending Deraa. Fighting in the town continued into the night. At Deraa, Lieutenant Colonel T.E. Lawrence and Colonel Nouri Bey met Barrow when the 4th Cavalry Division entered the town on the 28th of September, agreeing to cover the division's right flank during their pursuit north to Damascus. 4th Cavalry Division. The 4th Cavalry Division began the pursuit by desert-mounted corps via Deraa, the day before the Australian Mounted Division, with the 5th Cavalry Division in reserve, began their pursuit to Damascus via Quneitra. The 4th Cavalry Division's the Central India Horse, which had been garrisoning Jisr el-Majami since 23 September, was joined there on the 25th of September by the remainder of the 10th Cavalry Brigade, from Basin. They were ordered to advance as quickly as possible to Irbid and Deraa, and to contact Prince Faisal's Arab force. The brigade left Jisr el-Majami and crossed the Jordan River on the 26th of September. As the remainder of the 4th Cavalry Division left Basin for Jisr el-Majami, the 11th Cavalry Brigade in the rear of the division, arriving at Jisr el-Majami at 18:30 that day. Irbid, the 26th of September. Late in the afternoon of the 26th of September, the 10th Cavalry Brigade was attacked by the 4th Army's flank guard, which held the country round Irbid in force, consisting of the 4th Army's Amman garrison. According to Archibald Wavell, these troops had not been heavily engaged, and Anthony Bruce argues that they were still intact as a fighting force even though they were in rapid retreat. The 2nd Lancers attempted a mounted attack without reconnaissance and without knowing the size of the defending force. The charge failed, suffering severe losses before the artillery could get into position. Remta, the 27th of September. At Remta, another strong rearguard position was captured by the 10th Brigade after what Wavell describes as considerable fighting. The 146th Regiment, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Freiherr von Hammerstein-Jesmold, had arrived at Remta the day before the attack. This regiment, together with the 3rd Cavalry Division and 63rd Regiment etc., had made up the 4th Army's army troops. The 10th Cavalry Brigades won over 1 Dorset Yeomanry, with a subsection of Machine Gun Squadron, rode from the Irbid area at 7:15 on the 27th of September in the vanguard. A British aircraft dropped a message 2 miles beyond the Wadi Shalail which reported that Remta was clear of Ottoman force. However, as 2 troops approached the village, they were fired on at a range of 1,000 yards. and 300 Ottoman and/or German troops advanced out of the village to the attack with an advanced force of 100 deployed for the attack, while 200 with 4 machine guns advanced in support. 3 troops of the Dorset Yeomanry charged and captured a group of 50 which had crossed a wadi, while the remainder of the defenders retreated back into the village, where hand-to-hand fighting ensued among the houses. The Central India Horse was ordered forward in support, organized into squadron columns in extended file across the Wadi Ratam. When they sighted 150 retreating defenders, 2 squadrons formed a line on a wide front and charged the scattering Ottoman soldiers, who got 2 machine guns into action, before being attacked with the lance. 4 machine guns and 60 prisoners were captured, while another 4 machine guns and 90 prisoners were captured not far away. The action was over by noon, when the 4th Cavalry Division headquarters and the 11th Cavalry Brigade, which had camped for the night of 26/27 of September at Jisr el-Majami, with the 12th Cavalry Brigade bivouacked 2.5 miles east of the Jordan River, with orders to advance at 6 o'clock to Remta to join the 10th Cavalry Brigade, arrived. Ahead of the cavalry, Australian aircraft reconnoitred Damascus for the first time on the 27th of September, when the railway station was seen to be filled with hundreds of rolling stock. Columns of retreating troops and transport were also seen on the roads heading north towards Deraa. Deraa, the 28th of September. After halting for the night at Remta, Barrow, commanding the 4th Cavalry Division, ordered patrols by the 10th Brigade to establish whether Deraa was defended. The brigade covered the assembly of the division at 4:30 on the 28th of September east of Remta before advancing at 7 o'clock towards Deraa. They reached Deraa during the early morning to find it occupied by Prince Faisal's Sherifial force. Contact was made with Lawrence, who informed them that Sherifial irregulars had captured Deraa the previous afternoon, and the 4th Cavalry Division entered the town. Near Deraa, British airman from No. 144 Squadron, who had been a prisoner of the Ottoman Empire, was liberated, having managed to escape when the train he had been on collided with another train that had been derailed following a bombing on the railway. Dili, the 29th of September. The 10th Cavalry Brigade remained in Deraa to picket the railway station, collect and care for the Ottoman wounded and bury their dead. They bivouacked for the night of 28/29 of September in the station building, while the 11th and 12th Cavalry Brigades moved out to Erbil to water. Barrow arranged with Prince Faisal's Chief Staff Officer Colonel Norius said, for his Arab force to cover the 4th Cavalry Division's right flank during their pursuit to Damascus, which was to begin the next day. The 4th Cavalry Division's 70 miles pursuit from Deraa to Damascus began with Prince Faisal's Arab force commanded by the Iraqi volunteer Norius said on the right flank, while in the vanguard Arab irregulars harassed the Ottoman force. As they rode north, they passed the bodies of about 2,000 Ottoman soldiers as well as their abandoned transport and equipment. However, the division rode west to Sheikh Miskin, 13 miles northeast of Erbil at 1400 hours, where it was joined by the 10th Cavalry Brigade from Deraa. Lesser squadron left to protect the wounded. The division, running short of supplies, moved 5 miles north to bivouac at Dili for the night of 29/30 of September. Rations carried by their divisional train had been issued at Erbil, leaving 13 GS wagons carrying the last rations. 9 tons of barley as well as a small number of livestock were captured at Irbid, and more goats had been requisitioned at Deraa. Allenby describes the scale of his victory. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Would you like to know more?